Okay, well, it is 6:02. My name is Michelle Madden with the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. We're doing our very first ever Zoom format candidate forum here from the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce. I do want to just do a little bit of housekeeping. So far, my settings are set so that our candidates are the only people with camera activation and can speak. Please, technology can be a little odd, so please don't make efforts to get your camera and your audio on. I think they're set right now properly, but just in case there's a fluke, I'd hate to distract somebody while they're in the middle of their response to a question. Unfortunately, the format of tonight's program does not allow for questions. I have turned the chat off as well. I will be posting this video in its entirety at the conclusion of the event, and it will be on the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce website, and that will be either later tonight or tomorrow. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. I want to welcome you to the online runoff forum for Districts 6 and 8, hosted by the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, an association of Grand Prairie since 1945, with a mission to promote, strengthen, and expand the business community of Grand Prairie. I want to thank you all for joining us, and thanks to the candidates for attending this online forum. Tonight, our guests are for District 6, Jeff Wooldridge, who is the incumbent, Kurt Johnson, and then District 8 at large is Greg Gessner, he's the incumbent, and Junior Ezeonu. So I thank you all for being here tonight. In order to mix up the order of responses, I will draw the names of each candidate from this lovely basket and draw the names so that the orders are at random. And as with our in-person forum that happened in April, please direct the responses of these questions to the audience, not to the other candidates. Again, the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce, thanks you so much for joining us this evening. I thank all of our citizens that are here as well, and we look forward to getting to know the candidates just a little bit better. So starting out, each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves and make a statement. And as you can see over my shoulder, I have an iPad with a timer, and we're going to be using that. So I will draw our first respondent. Again, this will be an introduction and any statement. And the first one is Jeff Wooldridge. I'm going to turn this on to speaker view. Well, no, I'm not, so that you can see the camera. All right, Jeff, if you would like to unmute, and I will start your timer. And you are welcome to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jeff Wooldridge. I'm running for re-election. I'm the actual council member. Michelle and the council and the chamber and the people that are on this Zoom, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. This is very informative for everybody to get to know who your candidate is and who actually represents you and get to know what their goals are moving forward. I've represented District 6 since 2013. The lines have changed since I originally was elected. I've enjoyed it. Lots of things have gone on since I've been elected. We've added jobs, we've added businesses, we've done all kinds of things. We've cut taxes. We're looking into. We actually haven't cut taxes, is what you would say, but we've given an extra exemption. We doubled the exemption actually, and we're going to look into doing that again. As you all know, you saw the mayor's post. We've been working hard to get that taken care of. It's not official, but we are in the process of running the numbers to see what we can do. Exemption is just as important as a tax cut because it actually puts more money back in your pocket because of the way the taxes are set up. But we have a very conservative based council right now, and we just do everything that we can to just to preserve what we have in the city. Last night we looked at some of the property we have in the ETJ, which is property way out south all the way to Venus, for a plan on what we can do out there. And it's so exciting. Since I was a kid, I would drive out to the peninsula. I watched that grow. I watched it come to one of the best cities there is. We've the ETJ is what we were talking about last night. It is going to be a city within itself. So it's something proud to look forward to, the growth, and just keep the chemistry going of what we got. I have two 4-year-old twins, a boy and a girl, that are just the most important thing to my life. And my wife and I, we were just so proud to represent this city that we live in. We both were born and raised in this town. We want to just make everybody that moves to this town part of our family. I've always treated everybody equally. I've always tried to just do the right thing. My politics are very simple. Just do the right thing and tell people the truth. Sometimes it's not the popular decision, but it is what it is. And I don't make promises that I can't keep. So I'm Jeff Wooldridge. I'm running for re-election here in Grand Prairie. And I appreciate your vote.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. Appreciate that. Next up is Kurt Johnson. Kurt, if you'd like to unmute yourself, and I will start your timer for your statement and introduction.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules today to listen to see what we had to offer as your next city councilman. I'm Kurt Johnson. I'm running for place 6, city council. I'm running on the principles the voters, what they've shared with me as what they would like to have in a city councilman. They would like to have more open transparency, open communication, community involvement. They want a councilman that's available to listen to them and take action if needed. And those are things they feel that's been lacking. I've served in the military for 25 years, and I still believe in our core values: honor, courage, and commitment. I've honored the voters thus far, and I have the courage to run, although there's things that are untruths that's been sent out there about me. And I'm committed to finishing this race and winning this race. And most importantly, I'm committed to serving you as your next city councilman. During the general election, 49.6% of the voters voted for me. They voted for change. But more importantly, over 62% of the voters voted for a change. So the community is looking for change. They're looking for someone who's going to be able to guide them and be able to listen to their concerns and get involved with the community and have an open dialogue. They're looking for someone to have more than one town hall meeting in 8 years. I've committed to that. I'm committed to serving my community just like I've served our country for 25 years. And I served proudly, and I served honorably for 25 years our nation, so you can have the liberties and freedoms so that you can do the things that you want to do. I stood to watch. I stood to watch so that you can go about your daily lives, and I was willing to put my life on the line and to be committed to that. Furthermore, I'm willing to do it again as your city councilman. I know what it means to be a servant leader. I'm a servant leader. I've served my sailors, and I always felt like this here. No one works for me, I work for them. And I'm willing to work for you from day one if I'm elected as your next city councilman. My name is Kurt Johnson. I'm here to be your next city councilman. I've listened to the community. The community has talked about those taxes. And I find it that right now the city is trying to find ways to reduce the taxes. We need to do something about those taxes, and I agree. Well, right now, we have not had people on the council that's willing to go and fight for you and bring your concerns up. It's not about just hearing your concerns, but it's about taking actions on those concerns. And I'm the one who can do that. Once again, I'm Kurt Johnson, here running for city council, place 6. Thank you, and I look forward to this discussion this evening.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, next up. Please do remember to direct your comments to the audience. Junior Ezeonu is next up. Junior?
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So, good evening, everyone. My name is Junior Ezeonu, and I'm a candidate for Grand Prairie City Council for the Place 8 at-large seat. First and foremost, I would like to thank the Chamber of Commerce for allowing us to come together tonight and have the opportunity to exchange ideas regarding how to continue improving our city. I'm a recent UT Arlington graduate with a Bachelor's of Arts in Political Science, and I'm very blessed to call Grand Prairie my home. I ran for this office because I truly believe that we're all called to serve our community, but we will all take different paths towards accomplishing that goal. I believe that my path is through serving our community as a city council member. Many residents in this city want the opportunity to serve this town, and it's great people, but many don't have the chance or the opportunity to do so So me being in this position, having this opportunity, having this chance is truly a blessing. In this past May 1st election, we had a record turnout for a municipal off-year election race with numbers that we've never seen before here in Grand Prairie. I think it's a testament to the fact that many residents are engaged in the political process and want to see progress. That's what I plan to bring to the city if I am elected by the grace of God and by the will of you voters. And I want to thank you all for coming out tonight to listen to us and allow us to exchange our ideas and just have a good conversation about the good things that can be done in the city. My name again is Junior Ezeonu, candidate for Grand Prairie City Council, Place 8 at-large seat. And I would love to have your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Junior. And of course, last but not least, Greg Gessner. Greg?
Thank you, Michelle. My name is Greg Giessner, and I'm running for re-election to the Grand Prairie City Council, Place 8, at-large position. And I've had the honor to serve in that position since first being elected in 2009. I was born and raised here. I've raised my twin sons here. My wife, Kelly, is a school teacher here in the Grand Prairie Independent School District, and we have a family business that we will be celebrating 32 years in active service. And our family has always taken an active role in this community going back to 1938. We've been involved in the Chamber of Commerce, Rotary clubs, and charities, and served on charity boards. And my mother, Angela Giessner, even started and founded Lifeline Shelter for Families. I first chose to run for the city council back in 2009 because I saw the future of Grand Prairie. We were primed for growth. We had the opportunity to make that growth count and do it precisely and accurately. Since that time, I've been able to serve our residents just like I do in my own business. Customer service is what we pride ourselves on, and I take that with me to the city hall when I go to serve our residents. Since first being elected to the city council, I've had the pleasure of serving on the Finance and Government Committee, and we set the city budget and present that to the rest of the council. We look at every department, the expenditures and the revenue, and we are very leanly operated and very innovative in this city. We spend a lot of time creating new revenue streams for the city and new development that brings in new sales tax and new property taxes help us give relief to the general fund. But this is not the first year we've looked at lowering the property tax rates. As Councilman Wooldridge just mentioned, the mayor announced yesterday through a Facebook post, and I think the Dallas Morning News picked it up. We've been reviewing the ability to not only continue increasing your homestead exemption, saving you money on your city portion of your property taxes, but also this year, as we go into our budget workshop cycle with my committee, the Finance Committee, we're going to take a deep, hard look at what we can do to help lower the property tax rates. I'm very proud to have served our city as Mayor Pro Tem, 2 terms, and Deputy Mayor Pro Tem. And I'm also the alternate for Mayor Jensen on the Regional Transportation Council. And that council determines where all the federal transportation dollars go to the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Proud to have the endorsement of the Grand Prairie Police Department, Grand Prairie Fire Department, and MetroTech's Board of Realtors. We've got a lot of infrastructure, a lot of development, and a lot of projects in the works right now that are very financially complex. And our city needs to keep experience on the city council to see those projects through fruition. I appreciate your vote, and I ask for your support in this upcoming runoff election.
Thank you, Greg. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay. Next up. So thank you, gentlemen, for all of your statements. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to respond to the following questions as well. We asked citizens to submit questions they may have, and some of those are included. You do have a 3-minute maximum, but you do not need to use the incomplete allotted time if you choose not to. So our first question, and I'll ask that now, was submitted by citizen Pat Herring. What are the key issues or reasons for running for election? And again, you only have 3 minutes, so you have to become concise. Our first respondent would be Jeff Wooldridge. Again, what are the key issues or reasons for running for election? Jeff?
My key reasons for running for election are just to keep the chemistry going. As Greg said, him and I have put lots of effort and work into some of the designs. I myself, I'm the chair committee for the development committee. We've put lots of time into building things correctly, whether it comes to the size of the trees that are on developments, to the elevations, to the bricks, to whatever it takes to get things done, and just representing the community, just getting things done, and just, you know, we just have a passion for it, and, you know, we just want the best for our citizens. We want each and every one to be included into the process of it. I feel like my email is always open. We always get questions. We always give them the answers they want to hear. Well, it's not just the answers they want to hear, but the answers that they need to hear. Just the growth is important, how it's coming along. As I said earlier, we looked at the ETJ. We're going to get one chance to get stuff done. I've put my footprint on some of the development committee stuff, and I'm proud of it, and I want to keep it going that way. I have a family that I'm raising here. I own a house here. My tax money I invested in the city, and I want to make sure that not just my vision, but the rest of people in District 6 vision is fulfilled. I'd like to say that part of the peninsula, 75054, a lot of people don't know this. It's the 11th richest zip code in the state of Texas. I would like to take credit for, I can't take it all myself, but I'll take credit for it as much as I can. But it's part of our vision that we had. I've worked with the developers, with the Mar-a-Lagos, with Mansfield, just to make its own community. And that's something to be proud of. The 11th richest zip code in the state of Texas. And, you know, it's not going to end. We want it to keep growing and keep growing. It's just something that I'm extremely proud of. And I want to make this town something my kids will be proud of, and then my grandkids will be proud of also. And also giving the police and the fire the crucial tools and the skills that they need to actually do their job and keep us safe at night. And we've had a big turnover since I've been elected, and we want to be sure we keep the same people not in office, but in the city manager's office, the correct people that get the job done right. And that's it.
Thank you, Jeff. All right. Next up, Junior Ezeonu. Again, what are the key issues and reasons for running for election?
Well, thank you for that question. My first main reason is that I truly believe that we're all called and put on this planet to make our communities better and make this world better. And I do think that we're all going to do it in a different way, and in the way that fits the gifts that God gives us. When we look at Grand Prairie as a city, I'm very proud of one thing, and it's something that happened recently. On May 1st, about 8,000 voters in Grand Prairie voted in the off-year municipal election, which is higher than I think any election in recent history in the last 20 years. In 2019, about 6,000 voters voted. 2018, about 3,600 voters voted, and we usually have about 4,000 to 5,000. That shows that people are now getting engaged into the political process, into local government. Whenever I'm out knocking on doors and speaking to residents, I remind them about the essentialness of having a city council member that represents your values and your views, and looks out for the entire community, looks out for everyone. And residents are really receptive to that message. And I also ask residents, what do you want to see improved in your town? What do you want to see improved in your community? What do you want to see improved in your neighborhood? That's why I'm running. I'm running to represent each and every resident in this city. I've traveled through all parts of Grand Prairie, whether it's Northeast Grand Prairie, Northwest Grand Prairie, Southwest Grand Prairie, Southeast Grand Prairie, anywhere in the city. I'm there because I want to be the representative for each resident, because this city is what made me who I am today. Had I been for the investments put into this town, put into this community, I couldn't sit before you all today and ask you for your vote in the upcoming runoff election. I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed to call myself a resident of the great city of Grand Prairie. And I believe that it's time to give back. And I believe that it's time to bring some more representation to the city that reflects the entire city and everybody. And tries to put the best foot forward to represent each resident and just do that public service that we're all called to do. So thank you for that question again. My name is Junior Ezeonu. Let's have your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Junior. All right, next up. Again, what are the key issues, reasons for running for election? Greg Gessner's up next.
Thank you, Michelle. When I first decided to run for city council in 2009, I believed in the vision that our prior mayor, Charles England, had, and really believe in the message that and the vision that our current mayor, Ron Jensen, has. Grand Prairie was a diamond in the rough in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. For so long and so many years, we were overlooked for development. And that meant the Grand Prairie homeowners bared the brunt of the majority of the general fund funding through property taxes. Well, they all had a vision, and I believed in that vision, that we must create quality development to bring additional property tax and sales tax revenues to give our homeowners relief. And I also wanted to make sure that we continued supporting our police and fire. Our police department is one of the most valuable services we have here in Grand Prairie. And you get the most bang for your buck with your property taxes that pays for our police services and our personnel. In the last 10 years, I'm proud to say the two chiefs that we've put in place and the initiatives that they've put in place reached into our neighborhoods to make our city a better place and help reduce major crime by 48%. Also very proud of our fire department. I come from a family business prior to the insurance business that was a funeral business that ran the ambulance service in town before the ambulance service got too expensive and the city took it over after my dad and his partners decided not to renew their contract. I know how important it is to have emergency services in your town. We don't have a hospital here, but yet our fire department and EMS service has been able to win the American Heart Association Gold Medal Award for life-saving techniques. Every time a 911 call comes in for a heart attack, they've had to get that person to the hospital 100% of the time and a successful stent placed within 90 minutes. And they've done that 7 years in a row. As I mentioned, we're a diamond in the rough, and it's time for our time in the spotlight to shine. An example of that would be the development and bringing quality development like IKEA, who just announced that they are #2 in the nation in terms of sales. Well, we know all those sales numbers are not coming from Grand Prairie residents. That means Grand Prairie is a destination location, and I want to continue with that theme and help bring additional sit-down restaurants and retail and jobs. In the last 10 years, the companies that we've been able to attract have brought over 5,200 jobs to the city of Grand Prairie. And many of those, like IKEA and car parts, when they ship products outside our city to other cities and even other states, fortunately right now, unless the Texas legislature change it, Grand Prairie keeps the sales tax on that. So I'm very proud of the innovation that we've been able to bring to our city, creating new revenue streams.
Thank you, Greg. All right, last but not least will be Kurt Johnson. Again, what are the key issues, reasons for running for election? Kurt.
The reason I'm running for City Council Place 6 is because I'm a servant leader. Servant leaders know that you're willing to put service before others before yourself. And that's why I'm running. The community has spoken to me as far as they're not informed, they're unaware as far as what's going on in the district and within our city government. They're looking for someone who's able to communicate to them on a regular basis as far as what can we do in the city and listen to their ideas to bring forward to the city council. Majority of the citizens don't have the time to go to city council meetings. So if they know, if they are able to communicate with someone that's willing to talk to them and bring those ideas to them, to the city council, that's all they're asking for is a voice to be heard. But right now, they believe they do not have a voice because they have no idea. Majority of them do not know the name of the city councilman, and they are shocked to find out how long the city councilman has been serving. I would like to bring in new development. I believe that all dollars not good dollars. I believe in trying to bring in new ideas and a new vision to Grand Prairie to ensure that Grand Prairie is truly grand. We have an opportunity to take advantage of some things that's down the future that's going to be in the November ballot for all of us to vote on. And I think Grand Prairie is primed to take advantage of those situations and not compete with Arlington, but I always believe, and I've been telling voters, we can't compete with Arlington because they have everything right now. But I believe that we can augment Arlington and be a destination for citizens who's going to the Cowboy Stadium or the Rangers Stadium. And then after they leave there, they can come to Grand Prairie. I believe we need to look at the right growth for the city. What is the right growth between home ownership and apartment complexes? I believe we need apartment complexes. It serves a purpose. However, the citizens here are very displeased to see the amount of apartment complexes that are going up within the city. Yes, I've shared with them, there's a moratorium to stop the bill. But they're asking the question, why do they do it in the first place? So who's there asking the right questions? They're looking for someone who's going to be truthful and honest, who's willing to take it to the council and say, hey, do you think we have enough? So what is the right mix? I believe in home ownership. I believe that if you own a home, you're rooted into the community. You're going to get involved in the community. And we know apartment complexes, people are transits. They're coming through a year, 2 years, and 3 years. They're not rooted in the community. So we need to ensure we have the right mix of apartment complexes and home ownership. I believe that we can do that if you have the right person on the council who has the time to talk to the people and listen to them and take their concerns to the council. I'm Kurt Johnson, running for Place 6, District City Council.
Thank you, Kurt. All right. Next up, we have another citizen submitted question. This one's by Debbie Johnston. And the question is this, I'll repeat it each time. Do any of your campaigns have any affiliation with any national PACs? And if so, please explain your affiliation with them, why you chose to align with such. Also, are they funding you in any way? And are there any expectations to them from you should you win the election? So I thank her for that question. And the first respondent will be Kurt Johnson.
Well, that's an easy question for me to answer. I have no affiliation with any national PACs. No one's funded my campaign, from no national level or local level. You can look at my financial report. So with that in mind, I have more time to talk about other things. And I would like to continue with the question from the first question. I believe in community policing. I've already spoken to the chief about how we could do more as far as community policing by getting involved with the community. And if I was elected as a city councilman, I've already committed to the chief that let's go in District 6, knock on doors so we can introduce the chief. I think he's a great guy. I support the police. I support the fire departments. We're always talking about supporting the police, but our firemen do a great job. I was just at the VA hospital the other day and there was an emergency. Who came there? Our finest fire department came to take care of one of those veterans who was having a heart attack, and they dropped him off at the Arlington Memorial Hospital. So I support our fire department. I think that they're doing an outstanding job. I believe we need to look at how to retain the best police officers and firemen, and I would love for them to be able to afford a home in the city. Right now, a majority possibly can't afford a home in the city because the valuations of property are going up. So I have some ideas that we can offer incentives for them to try to help them build a home and be rooted in the community, not only work in the community, but be rooted within the community. I have a minute and a half left, but I want to go back to that question. I'm not affiliated with anyone. No PACs, no nothing. It would have been nice if some PACs thought enough of me to offer me some money and some help. But I have not received anything. So I'm gonna cut my time short so you guys can get back to your evening. I'm Kurt Johnson, running for Place 6. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Kurt. Yeah, no need to use the entire time if you don't feel that it's necessary to answer the question at hand. All right, next up. Same question. Does your campaign have any affiliation with any PAC, national PAC? Explain your affiliation, why you chose to align with them, and if they're funding you, are there any expectations back to them should you win? And the next one is Jeff Wooldridge. And Jeff, you're welcome to start.
Sure. The only PAC that I've been supported by is the Metro Tex, and yes, they did send me a check. We did an interview with them. They were proud of what I told them, the knowledge that I had of the real estate business and the knowledge that we've put together within our city to support the landowners' rights. So I don't have any obligation to them. But they did send me a check for some funds. But other than that, no, I don't have any affiliation with anybody else. I do believe that my opponent had some text messages sent out from
Jeff,
some
I'm gonna
PAC.
have to ask you to make sure that you're addressing the audience only, okay?
Okay, there was some PACs, there was some text messages sent out. So, but other than that, no, I don't have any affiliation with any of them. I just look forward to things. Yes, I'm committed to this city. I'm committed to my family. It's changed, but I am committed to this city. I've only missed one council meeting in 8 years. I haven't missed any committee meetings in 8 years. So it's just kind of odd that my opponents missed 25% of the meetings whenever he had a P&Z. So, and that's all I got to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. I got to remind everybody, please make sure that you're directing your responses to the audience when we're doing this. Next up, same question. Does your campaign have any affiliation with a PAC? If so, why did you choose to align with them? If there's any funding, are you in any obligation should you win? And the next is Junior. Junior.
Thank you so much for that question. To answer it, yes, I have been endorsed by a couple organizations. I wouldn't say they're PACs because they're not funding my campaign. They have endorsed me, and they endorsed me. I can list them for you. Our Revolution is one. I was endorsed by the Nigerian American Political it's like a political action committee, which supports Nigerian Americans that are getting involved in the political process. Our Revolution supports people that have progressive policies, progressive ideals that are mainly just trying to improve the lives of working class and middle class Americans. Whenever I was interviewed by Our Revolution, they asked me about my policies, asked me about myself. I told them that I'm a progressive candidate that believes in meeting people where they are. I'm not a progressive candidate that's going to tell you how to live your life, how to raise your children, how to do anything like that, but rather I want to help out the working class and middle class. And you may ask why. I'm the product of a working class family. When we moved to America, when we moved to this country, we were very poor from Nigeria. We had nothing. This country, this city, this community allowed my family to get to where we are now, and we're now a middle class family that's doing well. But had it not been for this community, had it not been for social welfare programs, had it not been for things to lift us up from the ground, I wouldn't be able to be in a position that I'm at, where I'm able to graduate from a public institution, UT Arlington, with honors, summa cum laude. It's a blessing. I'm blessed by God, and I'm blessed by this community. And that's why I wanted to run for this campaign. That's why I wanted to run for this election. That's why I wanted to give back, because I do believe in giving back to those that allowed you to get to where you are now. And I'm very grateful for just this opportunity to be in the runoff election against the incumbent. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I hope we win this thing so we can give back to this community and keep the good things going on here in Grand Prairie. Thank you so much for that question.
And one last thing, I'm sorry, Junior, you didn't answer the second section. Are there any expectations from the organization should you win?
Oh, no, ma'am, at all. No expectations. They just told me that they'll support me because they like my vision and they like how I care about the working class and middle class Americans and how I will look out for them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, last but not least, same question. Does your campaign have any affiliation within a national PAC? And if so, why did you choose them? And is there any obligation? And our very last respondent would be Greg Gessner.
Thank you, Michelle. No, I have, other than Metro Tex Board of Realtors, as Councilman Wooldridge mentioned, they interviewed, I believe, all the candidates. And based on our responses to protect private property rights and the real estate industry, which most cities do anyway, they chose me to support me in this re-election campaign. Other than that, all of my support, all of the contributions have come in from the residents of Grand Prairie who believe in our vision collectively as a city, who believe in what we're doing as a city council collectively, and have supported me throughout all of my prior elections. They know that we have the best interest of the residents of Grand Prairie and the city of Grand Prairie at heart, and that we will constantly fight for them regardless of socioeconomic status. And we will fight for the rights of this city so that we can prepare and put together a better city for them and the children that they're raising here. We want our citizens to be proud of our city. We want those children, as they were raised, if they go off to college, to come back home to Grand Prairie and call it home. We need those future generations to be there to step in as people begin to retire from their positions, who get old enough that they decide that they don't want to serve on charitable boards or Chamber of Commerce boards anymore, or they retire from their business. We need that younger group to start stepping up. And we want to have left them a better place to call home when they do return home. Metro Tech's Board of Realtors, the only national organization that has shown their support to me, gave me no expectations. We've met their expectations, whether they supported me or not. We protect the private property rights of the city residents here in Grand Prairie. And that does sometimes painfully include developers. I know a lot of folks don't like warehouses and apartments, but landowners have their rights as well. If a piece of property is zoned for a particular type of development, the city can deny it, but the city will be in court the next day spending money, and the judge will issue an order to allow that developer to develop his land as long as he's meeting all the zoning and ordinance requirements. So we've got to make sure that when we're dealing with developers, we hold their feet to the fire to follow our ordinances, provide very little variances, because we've studied those ordinances and put them together to attract the quality type of development we want. We were very proud to put the moratorium in place for apartments, but that's just a tap of the brakes. That can't last forever because the courts and the legislators won't allow it. I'm very proud of what we've been able to produce for the residents of Grand Prairie, the quality of life we've been able to instill. And I ask for your vote for re-election, Greg Gessner, to the Place 8 at-large City Council.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. So the next question is not from a specific citizen. First, the next question is, how do you think diversity and inclusion play a role in city governance? And again, it's Kurt Johnson.
Well, I support diversity and inclusion. It doesn't matter if you're Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, because we all come from different backgrounds and we have different ways of looking at a situation and trying to get a resolution to it. So if you just think that because one culture has all the answers, that's where we fail as a community. We can't survive as a community if we're just going to look at one culture. We need to look at and appreciate what others can bring to the table. For example, myself, I do hold 3 master's degrees. I have, and one of them is an MBA. The current person on the council does not, they have just a high school education. My thing is, how much are you able to bring to the table if you're not willing to go further in your education? Education isn't everything. However, it does mean that you're willing to learn and accept new ideas and principles and concepts, instead of just looking at life in one vision, one prism. This is the way I see life, and this is the way I'm going to live life. I've served in the Navy for 25 years. I've went around the world. That ship floated around the world. I've got the opportunity to look at different cultures, speak with different people, and understand why they're different. We consider them different from us. If you look at humans as a whole, 90 to 95% of the things we do is just that little 5 to 10% that we look at them as being different. So you have to be able to be willing to embrace diversity in cultures and get out of your comfort zone and say, hey, this person is better qualified to be on the council. They're going to bring new ideas, fresh ideas, as opposed to what we've had in the past. Right now, the citizens of District 6 are saying, we're not seeing any progress, no growth, because we don't even know the councilman's name. And I've spoken to thousands of voters in District 6. And I've not made any falsehoods against anyone, because I believe in my core values in the Navy. I'm going to honor courage and commitment. I'm not going to go low because you think that's the best way to go. If you guys remember, when I ran against Lila Thorne, we ran 2 clean campaigns. We let the voters decide who they wanted. We didn't come up with falsehoods. We didn't come and try to have distractions. And that's all I'm seeing and hearing. If you look at the Facebook posts, what's being put out there, they're falsehoods. I'm disappointed for people to discredit my service to this country for 25 years. You can serve yourself. So how are you going to put me down and at the same time say thank you for your service, and then behind my back say your service means nothing to me? So I'm Kurt Johnson, running for City Council, Place 6, and I appreciate your vote.
Thank you, Kurt. I do need to remind everyone, please try to point your responses to the question at hand. I understand that we are using this as a venue to speak to citizens, but we're here for information purposes. So please don't use this as anything other than that. Our next respondent is Greg Gessner. Again, how do you think diversity and inclusion play a role in city governance?
Well, we're richly diverse and culturally diverse community, and that's what gives us our strength. The opinions and the history, family history that everybody brings to the table, make sure that we include all opinions. We do that in our hiring also at City Hall, through our police departments and fire departments and all of our departments. That cultural diversity makes us a much stronger city because we learn to be tolerant of one another. We learn to seek out and help each other as neighbors and friends. And we've developed great relationships through our business organizations and our charitable organizations and through our city organizations. It just makes us a much stronger city, and it also makes us much more innovative. We take a look at every aspect of a problem. If there's a problem or an issue that needs to be solved, we take a look at it from every angle. So that way we make sure that we include all different opinions and different educational backgrounds, because everybody has a voice and everybody has something that they can bring to the table. It's very important that we continue to do that. And I think we've made those inroads, and we are continuing to do that with especially through our police department, our neighborhood enrichment teams, our community policing efforts, our proclamation that we just signed as a city council back a year ago in June, that we were going to make sure we did everything we could as a city to stop any type of injustice, whether it be socioeconomic, racial, or any other type of injustices. And then, of course, most of you may have attended, and it was greatly attended, our unity in the community. We made sure we presented ourselves and locked arms with one another to say that we were going to support one another, even through troubling times, even through the COVID pandemic that we were all suffering. We lifted each other up. And I think that makes us a much stronger city, much better able to weather storms as they come. And I'm just so proud of the residents of our city, having grown up here. That was a community I grew up in. This community it's no different to me. It's nothing unusual. It's just the town that I've grown up in, and I love it. And I appreciate the chamber of putting on this candidates forum. And I will ask you once again to please vote for Greg Gessner, Place 8 at large for re-election.
Thank you so much, Greg. All right, next up, Junior, same question. How do you think diversity and inclusion play a role in city governance?
I think diversity and inclusion are very important aspects to be included in city governance, primarily because if you look at Grand Prairie's makeup, we're a very diverse town. We're a town that's rich in diversity, rich in different perspectives, people from different walks of life, different backgrounds. I think it's a beautiful thing. We're kind of like a microcosm of the entire United States, because the Grand Prairie truly is a melting pot deep in the heart of the DFW. If I'm elected to city council, that by itself is bringing diversity to the city council, not solely because of my racial skin color, my tone, but also because of my background, also because of the perspective that I have as an African immigrant, as a Black man, as somebody that went to UT Arlington, as somebody that grew up in this area. It's a beautiful thing. And I just think for my campaign, whenever I'm knocking on doors, speaking to residents of different backgrounds, we all want similar things. We all want a strong public safety department, good police officers like we have here in Grand Prairie, and fire department. We all want to have food on the table. We want our kids to go to good public education, good public schools, to be educated well. we all want similar things, even though we are diverse in thought and behavior and different ideological standpoints. But at the end of the day, here in Grand Prairie, we're a family. We're a big, diverse family. That's how I look at the city. And that's how I look at governing. And if I am elected, I will promote diversity in every aspect, but also diversity of people that are qualified for these positions. We won't just put people on the board or commission just because they will make up a certain demographic, but we want to put everyone, give everybody a shot to have a voice in city government and have an ability to serve in whichever capacity that they can and ability that they may have to bring to the city government. And that's what I will push once elected. And I would love to have your support. My name again is Junior Ezeonu, candidate for Grand Prairie City Council, place 8. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Junior. And last but not least, we have Jeff Wooldridge. Jeff, same question. How do you think diversity and inclusion play a role in city governance?
Diversity is one of the best things we have in this city. It is just phenomenal. We're doing all kinds of interactive stuff. Many of you might know we're doing an international corridor all the way down Pioneer, starting at the Asian Times Squares, going all the way down to across the bridge. It's a joint effort between our county commissioners, our Dallas County Commissioner, and our Tarrant County Commissioner. Just little stuff like that, just to include everybody. I grew up in this town. I'm familiar with the diversity of it. I live in Westchester. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I wish I could just take a picture of the 8 homes in my cul-de-sac and use it for my mailer. It is the exact definition of what the city is. We have Asians, Hispanics, a mixed couple. We have, it's just what Grand Prairie is absolutely made of. One of the things that we have done, if you haven't had a chance to meet Gerald Hodges, he's a community inclusive coordinator. He is what helps us all get along together, and he's just doing a phenomenal job. It's a vision that we had as a council that we knew we could need some help in, and he's a police officer, and he's just been striving at that position, and it says a lot for the current council to reach out and have somebody in that position to make it what it is, because we know there could be some problems down the road. We're not going to turn and say that it could never happen. Some bad things happen in this town, but you know what? As long as we keep striving forward and looking forward and seeing that that we're all in this together, we're all in it as a team, and it's a joint effort to make everything in this city the way it is. It's just something to be proud of. I went to school here, so I've seen it. I've been born and raised here. I've seen it grow, and I've seen it change also. I'm Jeff Wooldridge. I'm running for re-election here in District 6, and I'd appreciate your vote.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. All right. Our next question is, how important is affordable housing to us as a community? Do you think we have enough? Why or why not? And the first respondent is Greg Gessner.
Affordable housing is very important to the workforce. We've got all levels of socioeconomic folks living through our town, and we have many of those jobs that require different levels of education and experience. So it's very important to have a very affordable housing stock, and Grand Prairie has had that for many, many years. We've made sure that those affordable housing areas are maintained through code enforcement. And if there are large multifamily projects, our code enforcement inspects those every year. I serve on the Grand Prairie Housing Finance Corporation, and we own 2 of those very affordable housing projects, the 2 different apartment complexes. And we make sure that our residents there are treated and to the best facilities that we can make available for them. One thing Grand Prairie has lacked for many years is some mid to upper level income homes. We are starting to attract some of those jobs that bring in the higher tech and the higher wage earners, but yet some of those people may not live here because they don't have the type of home that they're looking for. We've been able to accomplish that down south in Grand Peninsula and Lake Ridge, and we're on a mission now. We've identified several pockets of land all over the Grand Prairie particularly the north side of town, which is nearly developed out. But we think we can attract additional single-family home developments, some of them gated communities even, that will bring additional mid to upper level income homes. And we will make sure that we maintain that affordable housing stock that we have now. It's important to our workforce. It's important to our cultural diversity. And it's important to help the retail and commercial businesses here in town maintain their businesses with a large, diverse, and independent customer base. So all those things we do come together to help make Grand Prairie and the businesses and the residents work much better together.
Okay, thank you so much, Greg. Appreciate that. All right, next up, again, how important is affordable housing to us as a community? Do you think we have enough? Why or why not? Jeff Wooldridge.
Well, if you're talking about subsidized housing, I'm not sure we need any more of that. We do have some senior subsidized housing, and that is something that we've looked into that we did need. If you're talking about Indian Hills area, the rest of Grand Prairie, we do have affordable housing for that. Throughout the city, you talk about diversity, we have a diversity amount of properties, real estates, neighborhoods that anybody could choose to live in. It's not just the most expensive, it's not just the cheapest, but it's stuff that we've done a great job of. Since I've been on council, one of the things that we've done is we've actually given some money back to residents when they applied for a new fence or when they applied for upgrades on their home. We had a fund that we used that money to go towards upgrades on their house, just to keep the value of the homes up and keep the value of your neighborhood up, encouraging other neighbors to do the same. We will continue to look into those things to see if we can't help fund it. It's something that we do need, and everybody in their neighborhood knows that there's houses within it that need some upgrades. And with COVID, some people aren't having as much extra money to be spending on things that they need, such as fences and painting of the house and redoing some things. We are fortunate enough to have all the new stuff is high end. It's kind of crazy high end, but it's just what the market's bringing. As Greg said, we've changed some ordinances so we can actually have some gated communities. We don't have any of those. We've been working on trying to get some rear entry garages because that's something that we don't have many of those either. We're just going to bring a complete package to the city. I believe that if you were looking to move to Grand Prairie, you would have to pick exactly which town. You'd have to set a budget, but I believe that you could make it possible if you wanted to. And I think that's one reason why we are the best city in the state of Texas. We bring everything and anything. We're not open mind. We're not closed mind. We love the chemistry we have here. We just need to keep it going so we can just keep striving the way we're doing. Our sales tax is up and our property taxes obviously are going, but we're cutting some tax breaks to take care of that. But we're fortunate enough that we've brought together a commercial aspect in this town to subsidize some of our funds towards our taxes on property.
Thank you so much, Jeff. All right, next up, same question. How important is affordable housing to us as a community? Do you think we have enough? Why or why not? Kurt Johnson.
I think we should consider taking care of all citizens that live in Grand Prairie. Affordable housing is something that's on the minds of all the residents because everyone can't afford a home today. So what is considered affordable housing? Right now, we have residents living in our community that are on the voucher program. Is that affordable for them? But do you not want vouchers in your neighborhood? When we have them in Westchester and in their land, the landlords, we went after the landlord to ensure that they maintain their properties. And these people were on voucher programs. That is a subsidized. Or are we talking about for housing?
Kurt, let me interrupt you just for a second. We're losing you, your audio. Do you want to turn your video off for a moment?
Policing of the neighborhood, be thinking as a council, how many, hello?
Kurt, I was saying, we lost you for a moment there. Do you want to turn your video off so we can maintain some audio?
Sure.
Okay. I'll give you 30 extra seconds because I think we've had some time to go ahead.
Okay. We live within our communities, we have vouchers. So we have people on subsidized housing that's living right next door to us. Homeowners who decided to move out of Grand Prairie, but to maintain that property as an investment property, they put a lot of folks on the voucher program. And as the president of the Westchester Homeowners Association, what we used to do is ensure code enforcement was there to ensure the properties were maintained. If they didn't maintain the property, we actually took the homeowners to court to ensure the properties are maintained. So what are we talking about affordable housing? Are we talking about projects being built and ensuring that we have code enforcement over there to ensure that the properties are maintained? If you look in America today, we have over 32 million homeowners or renters that have not paid rent in over a year. So how is that going to affect the local community within Grand Prairie or DFW area? How many of that 32 million that's going to affect us is going to be 2 million? 2 million of homes, 2 million new homes that's going to increase our inventory is going to drive down the price of the valuation of the properties, because now it's about supply and demand. If the supply is there and the demand goes down, we're going to consider those affordable housing to ensure that people have a right to stay where in the community they would like to stay in. We do need to bring in higher end paying jobs. That's another thing I'm hearing from the community. We do have enough jobs where people are earning minimum wages have to live in apartments. So I need for everyone to look at affordable housing. What does that really mean to you? Because it means something different for everyone. I believe we need to ensure we take care of the residents in the city of Grand Prairie, and in particular District 6. Vote for Kurt Johnson. Vote for change, a person with a vision that can help make Grand Prairie grand. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, last but not least, again, how important is affordable housing to us as a community? And do you think we have enough? Why or why not, Junior?
Thank you for that question. I do believe that affordable housing is an important thing for our city. I mean, I just look at people in my age demographic, for example. A lot of young people that I know are considering moving to Grand Prairie, want to live in this city. They find the city as a very attractive area to live in. And I encourage it, but then they tell me, Junior, I really can't afford to stay in that apartment. That's costs about $1,200, $1,300 per month per rent. So this is something that we definitely have to take a look at. But even with not even looking at apartments, we can look at property taxes as another issue that residents have here in Grand Prairie. Whenever I'm out there knocking on doors, I'm in the community speaking with residents, something that always comes up is the property taxes that have increased as a result of the valuations on people's homes, to the point that many residents are contemplating either leaving Grand Prairie or moving to another area. And I think it's a big problem because we want people to live here in Grand Prairie, work here in Grand Prairie, and play in Grand Prairie, live, work, and play in this city, in this great city. So this is something that we definitely have to look at. And this is why I support what the mayor proposed yesterday, his initiative regarding lowering the property tax rate for our residents. And I think it's a great thing that we should all support to improve the lives of the Grand Prairie residents, especially after a turbulent year of COVID-19. People are suffering and need that tax relief so they can stay in their homes and be able to still put food on the table, not have to worry about the mortgage and bringing food for their families. So most definitely affordable housing is something that we definitely have to consider, increasing maybe a few more areas, but I definitely do support that. And I'm a big proponent for what the mayor proposed yesterday regarding cutting the property tax rate and giving tax relief to residents here in Grand Prairie. Thank you again for that question.
Thank you, Junior. All right, thank you. And our last question before any closing comments, our last question. What aspect of Grand Prairie do you feel needs your attention the most if you should take office, and what would you do to improve it? Jeff Wooldridge.
Did I lose my video?
You're there.
Okay, gotcha. What's going to take the most time in my district? I'm sorry, my screen went off. So what is going to take the most time? Is that correct?
Hold on one second. Let me read you this.
All right.
That's okay.
It went
Technology. Hold on one sec. It is, what aspect of Grand Prairie do you feel needs your attention the most if you should take office, and how would you improve it?
Okay. Well, we'll start in District 6. The 287 and 360 corridor is just going to be, we're expecting big things there. We've continued to have meeting with landowners. We're actually planning on, we're meeting with the city of Mansfield and Midlothian so we can have one big community. So you won't know if you're in Mansfield or if you're in Grand Prairie. So you'll know, so it'll all have the same feel to it. It's going to be a joint effort. It's going to be something that everybody's going to be proud of. We're going to make it kind of its own city within a city. I think we looked at it, and it's like 19 miles from City Hall. And that's a long ways. We're going to have some challenges out there with police, with fire, with even just getting water out there. We've set some infrastructure since I've been on council, knowing that this is going to happen. So we've put a water line that runs down 287. We've got some huge infrastructure and some investments that we made out there. The investors are going to have to eventually, whenever they come to their project, they're going to have to pitch in to help it strive to, it's not just going to be funded by the city. Some of the investors are going to have to pony up some money. It's going to take time and meeting with them and getting us all on the same page. So we have a vision, and so we absolutely get the best possible product that we can. And then obviously what's closer is the Epic area. We actually have a vision there. We know what we're getting, but it's just going to have to be done right, whether with just overseeing that the things are done from the engineering to just the plans of how it's going to be, whether it's just a parking lot or what it is. I'm fortunate enough that we do have that. We're not finished with I-30, with service roads on 20. So it's not just one thing. It's a whole lot of everything that we put time and effort. But the new thing would be 287 and 360. But the service roads, that intersection at Carrier and 20 is not going to be done until next year. I know it's frustrating for everybody, but it's a TxDOT project, and we've waited on it. And we've put some money into it because people don't know this, but Carrier wouldn't have had an exit if we hadn't spent some money and done some infrastructure and given some funds to TxDOT so Carrier could have an exit. We think that's very important. We think it's important to the citizens, so we did it. We've just got a whole lot of things going on within this city. It's one of the reasons why I'm running, because I want to finish a few things. I can't do this forever. I'm asking for one more term, 3 more years. Jeff Wooldridge, running for District 6, if you would get out and vote for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, next up. Again, what aspect of Grand Prairie do you feel needs your attention the most if you should take office, and what would you, and how would you improve it? Kurt Johnson. Kurt?
We turn the radio back on. Can you hear me? Okay. The first thing I think we need to do is to listen to the residents in our community, to get them involved, because they live here as well. A lot of them not pleased with the development that's coming down, the $75 million bond. It barely passed. Yeah, it passed, I think, at 57%. However, the citizens were not happy with the bond and the way it was marketed to them as far as what they're going to use the money on. Since they've heard recently what they're going to use the money on, they're still not pleased because they are looking at the congestion of 161 that's going to happen there. So I think we need to listen to the citizens and see what they want, because we're there to represent them. The second thing I want to do is, which I've already started talking with the chief of police about, because I wanted to see if we need to increase the officers. on our police force. He said, that's not the issue. We can't even recruit officers. So I think we need to find ways to ensure that we offer our officers something to live within the community, and other officers that can come in and want to be a part of our great police department. Same thing for the firefighters. They need to be able to live within our community because they're invested in our community. Listening to the residents and the voters to find out what they want is key to leadership, because now they know they will have a voice in City Hall because they're listening to their concerns. And that I continue to hear this repeatedly over and over again. No one's listening to me, and they're just giving us what they think we want, but we don't want those ideas. We're looking to make Grand Prairie grand, but we need to ensure we're being strategic in our efforts to bring in the right things to the city of Grand Prairie. Once again, we can't compete with Arlington, but we can supplement them and augment them to be just as valuable to for things that can affect our tax base as Arlington is doing for their citizens. But if we're not willing to listen to residents in our community, they're going to leave. The other thing they're really concerned about is the tax rates, the valuation of their properties going up. It's a great thing. And in particular, if you're a realtor, it's really good. But they're going to leave. They're telling me, I can't afford to stay in my home anymore. So what are we doing? It was a great thing that the mayor came out before the council yesterday to try to address it, but that's just the city tax. We still have to look at the school board, the school district, what are they going to do? And we got to look at the county. There's more than just one tax and authority to try to bring down the property taxes. So those are the things we need to do, is listen to what the community is saying, and we come to collectively as a council and the mayor to come up with an idea to bring back to the community to get those things addressed. Vote for Kurt Johnson. Vote for change. 62% of you have already voted for change. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, next up, same question. What aspect of Grand Prairie do you feel needs your attention the most if you should take office, and how would you improve it? Greg Gessner.
It's real simple. It's the finances. The city of Grand Prairie has an excellent financial track record, paying off debt early, such as the Summit, Lone Star Park, and also the police and fire administration building will be paid off early. Nothing goes on at your city. No program can be developed for the residents. No services can be offered without first figuring out the budget and the finances and how we pay for things. I was fortunate to learn under our prior council member, Jim Swafford, who recently passed away this past December from COVID. He spent 20 plus years leading and guiding the finance and budget committee for the city of Grand Prairie as a city councilman. And since 2009, I've learned from him and all of our members of the finance and budget departments. We have to make sure that this city stays financially stable, maintains its AAA bond ratings, which are the highest ratings we can maintain. Nothing goes on at our city without that. And if we don't have that, we won't be able to keep good employees, provide the services to our residents that they've come to expect, and not only come to expect, but ask for. Our police department does not have a problem recruiting. Our police department has very high standards. We've set those standards ourselves to make sure that those that we do recruit are going to have the best and offer the best services to the police department as professional law enforcement officers. We pay more than a minimum than a living wage. We're at market or slightly better than market than the rest of the DSW area for paying our police and fire. A lot of our policemen live here. We've given them the ability to drive their police Tahoes home. That's another recruiting tool, as long as they live within the city limits. A lot of our firemen, everybody knows 24 on, 48 off. A lot of our firemen live here, but a lot of them choose not to live here because they like to buy land, multiple acres of land. So some of them may live outside our city limits. It's not a requirement. Everything we do at the city is for the benefit of the residents. But the most important thing we do, we cannot offer those services unless we monitor our finances and be smart with it. And that's what I will continue to do as chairman of the finance committee when we set our city budget We've already began, even though the mayor issued the letter yesterday, we began over 2 months ago working on increasing the homestead exemption like we did this year, which puts more money in our homeowners' pockets, and also began looking at the preliminary property tax numbers. So not only can we increase the homestead exemption, but we're looking at the ability to lower the tax rate. We can't control the other taxing entities, but what we can control is the city, and we're going to watch out for our residents. I ask you to vote for Greg Giessner, Grand Prairie Place 8, City Councilman at Large for re-election.
Thank you, Greg. All right, and finally, last but not least, what aspect of Grand Prairie do you feel needs your attention the most if you should take office, and how would you improve it? And that's to Junior.
Thank you for that question, Michelle. I think for myself, one of the most important things for me if I'm elected to the council, and even if I'm not elected, I'll still do this, I promise you I'll do this, is to keep residents informed as to what's going on in City Hall. Whenever I'm out in the neighborhoods in the community, knocking on doors, speaking with residents, I ask them questions about who is your city council member for the at-large seat, who is your city council member for this specific district, and many people are uninformed and just don't know. I don't want to say it's to their faults or to the faults of the city government, but it is what it is. And I believe that we can make a lot of progress and growth in this by just trying to be out there in the communities, trying to speak to residents, and just being active on all places that you can, whether it's social media, whether it's holding more events in the communities, in the neighborhoods, letting people know, letting them meet their representatives. These are very important things. I tell people the level of government that's most important, the one that affects your day-to-day life the most, is your local government. Whenever you have an issue in your neighborhood or in your community, you don't call your state rep, you don't call your United States congressperson, you call your city council member or your mayor. That's who you contact first. That's how it is. And people understand this, and they just need to be more informed and let them know about this. And if we look at even finance, for the last, 2 or 3 years, I've been educating a lot of young people about stocks, bonds, cryptocurrency, things that will allow them to live a sustainable life and have money for the future, allow them to be financially free in the future. This is something that I am very passionate about because I'm passionate about helping people. I'm passionate about letting people pull themselves up and be successful in the future. This is stuff that I do. And that's why that access to information, that informing residents, keeping them involved in the political process, keep them engaged as to what's going on in City Hall and city government, something I'm going to do, win, lose, or draw. I don't care, because I want our residents to feel at home whenever it comes to things that are happening in the government, to know what's going on. I'm going to continue doing that. If I win this race, I'm going to continue doing that if I lose this race, because at the end of the day, I'm a Grand Prairie resident. I'm proud of this city. I'm proud of this town. I'm proud of my community, and I'm proud of where I live. And I want us to just keep moving in the right direction, keep moving towards progress. I want to just see great things in the city. And that's one thing I can promise you. Thank you again for that question.
Thank you, Junior. All right. Well, at this time, each candidate's going to have 3 minutes to make a closing comment. I want to remind you all, please do speak only to direct your comments to the audience. And again, I will draw names to find out what the speaking order is. Our first speaker is Greg Gessner. Greg, 3 minutes on your closing comments, please.
Thank you, Michelle. Grand Prairie has a wonderful story to tell. We've got a richly and culturally diverse city. We're financially well-maintained and well-run. We're also very transparent. Grand Prairie does a great job through our marketing department and through each council member and the mayor, pushing information out through our city website, through Grand Prairie TV, through our multiple meetings that we have with chambers of commerce, Rotary clubs, PID boards, HOA boards. I never turned down an invite to speak somewhere. I took that transparency to heart, and I wanted to make sure that we did everything we could to push information, news and information, helpful information out to our residents. I asked staff to put together what I envisioned as Government 101. And with the excellent staff we have together, we put together the Government 101 link on your city website that answers many of your questions. That's available to you 24/7. So not only are we using every old type of technology, website and the pipeline newsletter in your water bill, but we're using new technology through all different social media platforms. Our city is diverse, and we're also innovative. Even during the financial housing crisis, we fared better than many cities across the DFW Metroplex and throughout the state. We're able to operate leanly and efficiently, and we're innovative in creating new streams of revenue. All new streams of revenue, whether they be sales tax and or property tax, help the residents of Grand Prairie by funding the general fund. That gives us the ability to help lower your property taxes and continue providing the services that you've come to expect and that you asked for. We're innovative in going after quality economic development, for sit-down restaurants, retail, and also different entertainment opportunities. We're right in the middle of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and now is our time to shine. We're a multi-million-dollar corporation, and that multi-million-dollar corporation needs the expertise, the knowledge to be able to continue leading it into the future, making sure we leave no one behind. I ask for your support and your vote in this upcoming runoff election. I ask for you to vote for Greg Gessner, Grand Prairie City Council, Place 8 at large. And I thank you for your support. And Michelle and the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce and my fellow candidates, I thank you for your time and your willingness to get out there on the campaign trail.
Great. Thank you so much, Greg. Next up with their closing comments, Jeff Wooldridge. Jeff?
Thank you, Michelle. I just want everybody to know that I appreciate the opportunity to run for being a councilman. This election has never been about me. Ever since I've been elected, it has never been about Jeff Wooldridge, and it will never be about Jeff Wooldridge. It is about what's the best this city can do and how it can serve the constituents of this town and of District 6. Everybody has, I'm committed to this town. I'm committed to being a councilman. And I want to continue to be able to be committed to them. You've seen my vision is what's happening. I hope everybody's proud of the vision. We're not done. Our police department is doing just amazing things. We talked about hiring. Whenever we do hire we look out, we put applications for officers, we take applications. The line is, I mean, hundreds of people sign up to just have an opportunity to be in the police department of Grand Prairie. We don't have to do recruiting trips. And you know what? We also train them. We've been so interactive with our Grand Prairie Police Department. They have to go through the Grand Prairie Police Academy. That's something that we put in place. So we actually train them. We've been fortunate enough to hire lateral officers that come from other cities because we pay better, but we expect the service and quality to be best for our citizens. And I believe we're getting it. We don't have the small town problems. I'm not opposed. They probably could happen any minute, but we're doing what we can to minimize the issues and stuff that we have. I've been honored to represent the people of District 6 for the last 8 years. I look forward to doing it 3 more years. Like I said, I've been endorsed by former mayor. I've been endorsed by the Police and the Fire Association. They've just been a great asset to our cities. I hope everybody's happy with the service that they're providing. We are a customer service-based city. I don't think that anybody on council gives out more time and more effort to the citizens. If you have some concerns, you hear from me. I promise you that. My email's always working. My phone's always on. I get personal emails, text messages all the time. I'm in it for the best of the city, and I want to continue to keep the vision that we've put in place. There's a few things that I want to get finished, and I'm just asking for 3 more years of being a councilman here in Grand Prairie. I love it. I have a passion for this town. I'm fortunate enough to have a family that supports me and goes out of their way, and they're all into. My name's Jeff Wooldridge. I'm running for re-election here in District 6 of Grand Prairie in a runoff, and I really appreciate your vote. Please get out and vote for Jeff Wooldridge.
Great. Thank you so much, Jeff. And next up, again, closing comments, Kurt Johnson. Kurt?
Thank you guys for taking time out of your evening to sit here and listen to what we have to say. It's time for a change on the city council. When you're voting for Kurt Johnson, you're voting for change. You're voting for my experience, my education, and the things that I can bring a new vision to Grand Prairie. My experience in the Navy, I operated budgets. I maintained them. I put them together. My budgets went up to OMB. That's how much I'm familiar with budgets. So day one, I'm ready to help out on budgets. I was a contracting officer with a contracting warrant. Over $10 million, I can purchase things and procure things. So day one, I'm ready to step in any position that's available on the city council. I'm a champion for diversity and inclusion. I believe in diversity and inclusion, and I believe that we're stronger by accepting others' viewpoints and ideas instead of going down the same road, or this is how we're going to do it. I believe in listening to the citizens because I'm a servant leader. Servant leaders get it. They really get it. They understand as a servant leader, you have to be willing to take time out and to listen and act upon what the people are saying. And more importantly, you get back with them. Those are things I have not heard with knocking on these doors. I need your vote for a change for Kurt Johnson. Kurt Johnson is the one that's going to be taking your phone calls late in the evenings, that's going to guide you. Kurt Johnson is going to be the one who's going to help you through the next national disaster, like the big freeze we had. The citizens were not pleased with the communication that they felt they did not hear from all levels of government, from the city council all the way up to the federal, where to go and what to do, because they needed help, assistance. I'm here. I know what to do and how to do it. I have experience in continuity operational planning, coup planning. When we have national disasters, I know how to go and get the resources, then bring them back and take care of folks. I have a vast experience that I can bring to the council day one and keep it moving forward. I'm a former bank examiner. I understand accounting. I have the experience to look at the numbers and ensure that they're there where they need to be. And more importantly, when you're looking at a budget, the first thing you need is to ensure you have funding to cover that budget for that fiscal year. And from there, you look at the priorities that each department has brought to you to see if you're able to cover them. If not, you go back and you work with them individually to find out what are their needs and how you can address their needs. Vote for Kurt Johnson. Vote for my service. I'm a veteran. I'm a disabled vet. Vote and show that you support the troops by voting for Kurt Johnson. District place 6 on the ballot, Kurt Johnson. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Kurt. All right, and finally, again, closing comments, Junior Ezeonu.
Thank you so much, Ms. Michelle. I want to thank everyone that's joined us tonight to listen to us speak and just engage in this conversation. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for holding this forum, this platform, giving us this opportunity and this ability. At the same time, I do want to thank Councilmember Giessner and Councilmember Wooldridge for their service to our city. Really appreciate what y'all have done for this town. I'm very blessed, and I always say this, I'm very blessed to first live in this country. I'm very blessed to live in this city, live in this community. It's given me all that I have. It's given me the tools to succeed as a young man in America. It's given me the opportunity and the ability to be where I am today, to be in this runoff, to be in this election. It's a blessing. And that's why I ran. I wanted to give back to my community that put me where I am today. And these last 3, 4, 5 months on the campaign trail, knocking on doors, calling voters, speaking with residents, it's been a great experience. It's been everything I could ask for because I've been able to give back to this community. I've been able to meet people and get them excited about local politics, local elections, and let them know that there's people out here that truly do care about you. People out here that will look out for you and will listen to you. And I think that's a very important thing for any council member, any representative of people, is to be willing to listen, be willing to meet people where they are, and be willing to compromise. I'm not an ideologue. I'm not someone that is very hard on one ideology and not willing to listen and compromise with others. All I've done is compromise, whether it was on student government at UT Arlington, all I did was compromise with people from different sides of the spectrum because I do believe in serving those that you're representing. And you can't serve and represent them if you're not willing to make deals with people that you may not agree with 100% of the time. And that's because as humans, we don't agree on everything. We will always have some disagreement. But at the same time, the similarities that we have, the things that we have in common outweigh the things that we don't, because we all want the same basic things. We want a good life, we want to have a family, and we want to be happy, and we want to feel safe and have our kids go to good schools. And if I'm elected to the city council as your council member for the Place 8 at-large seat, you can definitely trust that I will be there to ensure all of that and to make sure the progress keeps going. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Junior Ezeonu, a candidate for Grand Prairie City Council for the Place 8 at-large seat, and I would love to have your support. You'll have a great night. God bless you all, and God bless Grand Prairie. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Junior. Well, I want to thank you all so much. Again, candidates, thank you so much for participating. Thank you to all the citizens that watched here on Zoom and on our Facebook Live. Please remember to get out and vote on Saturday, June 5th. And voting locations can be found on the city website at gptx.org. For more information about the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce and all of its business members, please come out and visit our website, grandprairiechamber.org. We have so many fantastic events that are designed for not only our businesses, but our citizens alike. And we have so many resources for our citizens on that website. I want to thank you again. And at this time, I'm going to conclude this event, and may the best man win.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.